This is a true story. On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight Mh370 took off from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, heading for Beijing, China. On board were 239 people from different countries. No one knew that this flight would become one of the world's biggest mysteries. Flight Mh370 took off at 12:41 a.m. The weather was clear. The pilots, Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah and First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, spoke with air traffic control as normal. Everything seemed perfect. About 40 minutes after takeoff, the plane reached the South China Sea. At 1:19 a.m., the co-pilot said, "Good night, Malaysian 370." Those were the last words anyone ever heard from Mh370. Just minutes later, the plane disappeared from radar. Air traffic controllers in Malaysia and Vietnam tried to contact the pilots, but there was no answer. The plane was gone. No signal, no distress call. At first, people thought the plane might have landed somewhere safely. Families waited at the airport in Beijing, hoping for good news. But soon, everyone realized something was terribly wrong. Malaysia Airlines told the world that Mh370 was missing. Search teams from many countries began looking in the South China Sea, using ships, planes, and satellites. The whole world was watching. Days passed, but no wreckage was found. Then, investigators discovered something strange. The plane had turned off its usual path and flown west across the Malay Peninsula before vanishing over the Indian Ocean. How did they know this? Satellites picked up handshakes, simple signals sent from the plane's systems, every hour. The final signal was detected about 7 hours after takeoff, far out over the southern Indian Ocean. The search area moved thousands of kilometers away. Now, ships and planes searched the deep, cold waters of the Indian Ocean. This area was huge, larger than many countries. Families of the missing passengers waited and prayed. Some stayed at the airport for weeks, hoping their loved ones were alive. Others began to lose hope as time went by. Search ships and airplanes scanned the ocean for days. They found no pieces of the plane, no life vests, and no oil in the water. The families grew more desperate. Where was Mh370? How could a big jet just disappear? Investigators looked at the pilots' backgrounds. Both men were experienced and respected. Some people wondered if there had been a technical problem. Others asked if someone had taken control of the plane. The plane's black boxes, devices that record flight data, could give answers. But the black boxes were missing with the plane. Search teams used sonar to listen for their ping in the deep ocean, but heard nothing. Days turned into weeks, then months. The search area was bigger than ever. Ships from many countries worked together. The cost was huge, but everyone wanted to solve the mystery. People on the internet made many theories. Some believed the plane was hijacked and landed on a secret island. Others thought the pilots lost control after a fire or technical failure. The truth was still unknown. Months later, some small objects were found floating in the Indian Ocean, but none could be confirmed as parts of Mh370. Search teams did not give up. They kept looking. In July 2015, over a year later, people on Réunion Island found a large piece of airplane wing called a flaperon. Experts confirmed it was from Mh370. This was the first real clue. Later, more small pieces washed up on beaches in Africa and Indian Ocean islands. The mystery deepened. Why did the plane end up so far from its original path? Some experts believe someone changed the plane's direction on purpose, but nobody knows who or why. Was it an accident, a crime, or something else? The families kept searching for the truth. The search for Mh370 became the most expensive in aviation history. But after 3 years, the official search was stopped. Still, some private teams and volunteers continued to look for answers. One theory says the pilot or someone in the cockpit decided to commit suicide and change the path of the flight on purpose. Some believe this explains why the plane flew far off course into the ocean. Another theory says the plane was hijacked. Someone might have taken control of Mh370, forced it to turn, and then disappeared. But there is no clear proof for either theory. What do you think really happened to flight Mh370? Was it an accident, a crime, or something else? Write your opinion in the comments below.